Hello, faithful audience. Lynn and I are going to do a kind of little commentary on the Ten Commandments and the Beatitudes. And before I do that, I have a comment about our videos last week. I'd like to kind of apologize regarding the sermons that I did the last week. I was trying to get over a head cold, and I really should not have recorded because I think I was all over the place. And if I was, I simply apologize if I wasn't up to snuff. Secondly, I do think that as thinking Christians, to be aware of the slogans that we hear every day, and one of which is existential threat, the word existential, and then that word is attached to the environment, to all kinds of things that lately we hear in the news. And the other thing is systemic racism, which I don't believe we are systemically racist. But be aware that when you hear that language, that it doesn't, you don't appropriate it properly. When you keep hearing it in the news, they bang it in your head. And you have your own objective self to scrutinize what you listen to and what you read on a daily basis, and especially as we come nearer to the election. And I just wanted to point those out. I could expand on them, but we have another story.
Yeah, I think we'll expand on them on another time. One of the things we're going to, as he mentioned, we're going to talk about the Ten Commandments. And they are, by the way, not 10 guidelines, they are commandments. And the one that stands out in my mind, because of discussions I've had with people this week, is honor thy father and mother. I'm thinking back to years when I led a teenage discussion class on Sundays. And the most difficult thing for these young people was, if we're to honor our father and mother, where do our responsibilities to them end and our responsibilities to ourselves and individuality begin? It's hard to separate them. It's hard to know. When your parents forbid you to do something, are they allowed to do that? I mean, are they supposed to do that? In God's eyes, is that okay for them to do that without giving you a reason? What do you think?
Well, continue with your discussion.
Well, I think that most of the young people were concerned with the fact that they wanted to be respectful to their parents, but we're talking about 15 and 16-year-olds who are developing their own thoughts as far as morality, responsibility, and what's appropriate is concerned. And often their ideas would differ from the ideas of their parents. But the commandment is that we're to honor our parents, to obey our father and mother. How long are we supposed to be doing that? I don't have an answer. I think that it's up to you to know when you're acting in a dishonorable way toward your elders, not just your father and mother, but those people who are part of your family, who have helped raise you, who've taken interest in your health and your welfare. and your general upbringing integrating you into society. And this is where it gets difficult, is integrating into society, particularly those of us who came from bicultural families, those of us who were first and second generation in this country. Our parents brought with them the morality, the mores, and the traditions of a totally a different culture.
But what was your experience in your home growing up? Were you obedient? Were you subservient, quote, 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 to your parents' wishes? Or were you allowed your own individualism to...
I was allowed my own individualism to a certain extent. I was very obedient. I was very aware of authority and the fact that those who raised me were in authority over me. And I had a big mouth. I answered back a lot, but I didn't do what my parents said I wasn't supposed to do. I knew I wasn't supposed to, and I couldn't enjoy it if I did, as opposed to my own children who thought it was better to ask, to seek, not to seek permission, but to seek
approval.
Yeah, to seek approval rather than permission.
Yeah, your grandfather had you smoking. What, at 3?
Well, that was I was a favorite
scotch.
I was a favorite of an elderly grandfather, and at a very young age, he took over my discipline. But by the time I got to be a teenager, he wasn't so much a factor anymore, and I really was. I can't say afraid. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. It was like the saddest thing in the world to disappoint my father. For some reason, it was easier to disappoint my mother. Well, she just didn't get disappointed as easily, that's all.
Well, you know, I taught for many years at McGill University, and I began every class talking about how children, especially now first-year students at the university, how they should forgive their parents. It got to be very poignant because it turns out that many kids really felt that their parents were not what they were snuffed up to be.
They felt their parents sat on them. They felt their parents sat on their individuality.
No, not only that. I mean, one time there was a car accident in which some football players were killed from McGill, and they were playing with Dalhousie. This is in Canada. And it took place during the school break, so I didn't know about it. So we got back to class after the spring break. I saw these guys all morose or sad. And I said, why are you so sad? What's happened? So, of course, they spoke up and told us about how some of their friends had died. And so I began probing, and there was 2 questions that I was really interested in, besides their own well-being, after which we made a circle in the class so everyone could talk and relate and gave them a chance to express their feelings. Number 1, the religious leaders gave eulogies, like you would say, to whom it may concern, and fill in the blanks. And then I asked them, how was it with your parents? It was the spring break. And I guess they all came from pretty wealthy families in Toronto, and the kids all told me, it was unconditional. They all told me their parents told them to chip her up and get back to school. And they didn't have any sense of being supported or secure, or there was something really lacking in how their parents dealt with them.
Well, they weren't able to grieve properly.
And after which they all came to me privately to speak. And I think we as parents really have a role to we don't want our kids to worship us, but we certainly want our kids to respect us. And even parents have to earn respect. When you see that your kids have grown and matured, you can't just, as some of the kids tell me what their parents do, you can't do outlandish things and expect your kids to respect your values.
But the commandment doesn't say anything about that. It says, honor your father and mother. That's what the commandment is. I mean,
I personally think it's lacking in today's world.
it's lacking an explanation. Maybe the commandment itself can't be lacking.
No, it's a commandment from God in our parental and relationship, interpersonal relationships. But what I see in the ethnic communities, I would say yes, the kids have more reverence for their parents, because we still have that sense, like if we go visit our parents or our parents come and visit us, that we stand up, we greet them, we hug them, we give them a kiss. And that's often not done in non-cultural communities. I mean, they'll shake their hand, say, "Hi, Dad," and there's no emotional interchange with the parents. But I think in ethnic communities, it may not be articulated from the commandments, but there's that sense that young people respect, reverence, and honor their parents. Now, when the parents try to dictate to their kids about whom they're going to marry, sometimes that honor thing falls apart.
Not just about whom they're going to marry, do they have a right to interfere with their friends if they don't approve of their friends? I think they do. I believe that they do. My parents certainly didn't keep quiet or didn't hesitate to tell me that they thought someone with whom I was associating with was not a proper association for me. And as far as I was concerned, that was enough of them. That was enough of that friend. I was much more than my friends. I was afraid. I can't say afraid is not the word. I was much more aware of my parents' opinions about everything I was doing. When I was in school, when I was at a social function, when I was alone with friends, if an occasion came up to do something that I thought my parents would disapprove of, I couldn't enjoy it. I just couldn't enjoy it.
Well, your parents always made their feelings known, as did mine. And I must say that personally, and I just turned 80, and I miss my parents more now than ever.
I think we all do.
And I always wish I could have that last conversation with my mom and dad, but we really respected our parents.
We were much less hands-on with our children than our parents were with us. And I think from my part, it was a reaction. I wanted my children to make their choices for themselves much more than my parents did.
But I just, in parenthesis, and I said this to a young man on the telephone last week, I wonder how many of those kids that are rampaging across America have a sense of honoring their parents. Because I wonder if they had honoring to their mom and dad, that they would respect of the people around them and respect the country and respect with,
History, respect history.
yeah, respect history instead of tearing everything down. It really boggles my mind. I think this commandment needs to be mightily reinforced in our North American ethos.
In every home. It's an individual kind of thing. It's a family thing. You emphasize it in your home and you're bringing up your children.
And it wouldn't hurt if our politicians spoke about the concept of honor. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button on your iPad, your iPhone, or whatever. Put also the subscribe button. Please subscribe. And push the notification so you'll know when we do these videos, when they come out. Thumbs up, subscribe, notification. Remember those three things. And I'd be very grateful. God bless you.